Welcome to Bar Z. My name is Stan. We're all the way up to week update number 9. So this is what's been going on this week and the things that have happened. Seems like everyone likes to be the fly on the wall and have a peek at what I'm up to during the week. So this is going to be kind of another mixed bag of stuff that's going on. I am throwing keywords into these videos since they are mixed, so you can use the search function within YouTube and look up specific topics, even though they're just all kind of dovetailed together. I'm going to start out this week by saying I just rolled over 300,000 miles on my pickup. There's a shot of that. And we're back, and yeah, that's been a good old truck. That's a Dodge 1-ton with a 8-liter V10 gas motor. I don't know whether some of you guys may remember the old 318 Dodge truck motors. Basically, the V10 is a 318 with 2 extra cylinders. So. And that's the original motor in that truck. Doesn't leak a drop of oil, doesn't use any oil, and I service it religiously. And that truck will pass everything on the road except a gas station. So it's been a good truck, but its time is growing short. I can't talk too loud because it's parked right outside, and I don't want her to hear me. So anyways, that's my truck, and I'm in the market. I'm looking from California. I'm actually looking all the way to Texas. Texas seems to be truck country, and they've got some awfully nice looking dualies over there, and the price is right. So I am considering a road trip just to go pick up a truck and drive it back. Anyways, let's move on. Indexing. I've got indexing parts, and I've got a little video clip coming up here that I'm going to insert. The first little bit is how I set up repeatable parts on the pan brake. I've got a D&K Chicago pan brake, and I'm going to show you how I square parts, index parts, even onesie twosies. I've got a little square clamp that I set up on the apron die. Also intertwined with that is going to be the 3/4 inch bar indexing system I use around the shop, and I'm going to walk you through some of that. And the 3/4 inch round bar, I use it on the brake, on the mill, on the drill press, on the and I even use it on the bandsaw, to index parts. So it's a very versatile system. And here, let's video clip to that real quick. Hey guys, I was going to show you a pretty simple device that I made for just a manual brake. And what it is it just goes right on the apron, and it's a small scale. I'm going to try to tip that so you can see the scale. And you just do it on the mill with a high-speed steel point, and just grind a bit or something to a point, and just scratch it across your cold roll to make your lines, and use your DRO to space your lines and everything. Stamp it, and it's pretty easy to make a scale like that. What this does is it's got a clamp on the back, and it slips right over your die. And what it's going to do on the apron, and this is only for a 2-inch. This is the only thing it'll work on is a 2-inch. And what it does is it just clamps down here, and you do one squaring. First time you put it in, get it nice and square to the brake. And if you've done your scale right, that's going to be off of the brake to your lines. And I just got a 1/4 inch marked right now. And I'll slip a piece of sheet metal in there and show you what it does. So you just slip this in the brake, and say we wanted a 2.5 inch return. We take it right there to the scale on 2.5 inch, pinch her down, go. Alright. Now, your scale spacing is obviously very important on these, and being square is important too. And this thing just acts as a square all the time, so that your parts can come in and be square. The other thing is, and I think I've got it in the frame, is this backstop here. This is just a piece of 3/4 inch bar. We use these for work holding or work stops on the drill press, on the mill, on the bandsaw. But all I've done here is you use these little blocks. These are very simple to make blocks. They're 1.5 inch or 1 inch by 1 inch cold roll with 3/4 inch holes, slitting saw. So they're just kind of like a pinch block. Real easy to make, and we just keep a bunch of them around the shop. So we've got one of those here, and then there's a small riser and another little block with a tiny little fence right here. So we're adjustable in and out and up and down, and that's a good work stop for back here. So that little fence right there is going to stop your part. Use this to keep you square, but use this as a bump stop. Bump it in, bring your die down, do your brake. Okay, so that's a couple of tips for you if you're going to do a lot of repeatable work. The thing about this is you always need to leave yourself some clearance on this side to clear your brake die. I'm going to tip that up so you can see how it clears. So she'll make a 90 right there. But the 3/4 inch stops are pretty standard around my shop. I use them pretty much for everything, so the components all interchange. And actually I can unscrew this. The apron on this brake is threaded, but if you don't have threads on your apron, you could probably do them yourself. So that's just a piece of 3/4 inch round stock. That's 5/8 thread, and then there's your little stop right there, and you can see how it's adjustable for elevation, rotation here, and you can even rotate this little block on this. There's just a little flat spot milled in this round stock here for the block to sit on. But these are all pretty simple to make, and it's going to really improve your work if you've got a lot of parts to make, and you don't want to sit there and lay everyone out. You know, you want to lay your first one out, get it set up in the machine, get your stop set up, and run your parts. And that's good for, you know, short production runs of whatever. But I just thought I'd show you that here, and guess I could bend something for you real quick. Let's do it at a 2.5 inch right there. And we already know we're square. We're at 2.5 inch to the die, and just fold your steel. Boop. And there you have it. And that's going to be 2.5 inch from the inside of the brake to right there. If you need to be to the outside, off of this scale, you would need to deduct the thickness of the metal, obviously. All right, but these are quick and easy to make here in your shop. And as long as we're on the subject, this is another one I made. This is for I use this one on the bandsaw. And see, here again, we got a 3/4 inch rod coming out of the bandsaw. But this little guy just slides on here, and she'll come in, and I can bring parts in and bump them in after we pinch this bolt down. But the reason we've got this is I've got a rounded bump stop out there, but then as my cut starts to make, I just rotate this back and pull this out of the way so it doesn't pinch the blade. So cut your part, run your knob back, bump your part in, start your cut, get it out of the way, lather, rinse, repeat. but this works for pretty much everything. It's infinitely adjustable, so I don't care if I'm doing flat bar standing up, flat bar laying down, little rounds, big squares. You can always catch an edge of a part or something somewhere with that little rounded corner. So that's a good work stop there. All right, so that's how it works on the bandsaw. And here we're over on the mill. And this is just a piece of 1-inch stock back here that's been drilled in 2 spots. It picks up the 2 holes that are already in your vise. And then it's turned down on the lathe to 3/4. And same clamp setup here. And this time we've got just one of my other stops, and I bring this up for a working stop right in the vise there. So like I say, you can move it in this direction, and then you can telescope this guy in and out. So that makes a good mill work stop. And also this part can get flipped left or right, so you can have this rod sticking out either side. So these 3/4 inch bar systems have been wonderful for that. I'm going to show you one more on the drill press, and then that's it. And here we are on the drill press, and this is pretty much the same thing. 3/4 inch bar. I had to drill and tap the vise here, and there's another hole on the back side here, so I can actually flip this rod on either side. And it's much the same as the mill. You know, these clamps just kind of stick on there, and you can put your work stop in pretty much wherever you want it for you to bump parts in after you got them up on parallels or whatever. But if you need to repeat your work, that's the way to do it. All right, so now you've seen it on the drill press, you've seen it on the mill, you've seen it on the brake, and you've seen it on the bandsaw. And like I say, if you do everything out of 3/4 inch bar, and these little clamps, they're pretty universal around the shop. You just make yourself, I got 4 of these things kicking around, the little clamp setups, and you'd be surprised how handy they are to secure your part. Alrighty, and actually they don't slip very easily. Okay, thanks for watching. Yeah, we're back, and that's all shop-made stuff, and that's the indexing system that works for me. You may need something larger. If you do larger parts, you may need to go to a 1-inch or an 1 1/4 or something for larger, beefier setups. But 3/4 inch works just dandy around here. All right, let's go on to work. We're still fiddling with that conveyor, and I don't really have any video of it this week. I'm just going to talk about it. The hooks, you know, those got done in the last video. And then we were goofing off on our day off with the shields, and these just bolt up to those, just like that. All right, so that creates a shield as the guys underneath here are painting with a part hanging off of it, and this keeps the overspray from getting in the carrier. There's a carrier right above it with some roller bearings and some needle bearings for the way those carriers steer around the corners and stuff. So there's thrust bearings and roller bearings in that. So that's going to keep the overspray out of those. And we've made some other parts for that job during the week. We made the rotators. Those are all made out of UHMW. Industry term is dry slide. That's a graphite impregnated UHMW. So those are going to be the rotators. The pins get on the hooks. As the part comes around, those pins hit the dry slide and rotate the part. And we're rotating it in 2 different directions. That's why we need 4 index pins. 2 pins are going to be facing up, and those are going to snap the part's knife edge to get in the booth conveyor opening and the oven conveyor opening to make sure that we're knife edge, so that no one flips a door sideways and we got a door coming through a conveyor opening sideways. The other 2 pins are to bring them back adjacent to the conveyor and snap them back, so that when they come off the line, they're coming off the line knife edge, and then they flip 90 degrees so the doors can stack up as they come off the line, and actually the carriers bump up top before the doors hit each other, and the carriers will just stack up. So when after they're done running and they come around the end of the line, the doors flip 90 degrees, and he's just got a whole row of doors sitting there like bread slices. Okay, so that's work for the week. This next segment is kind of long, and I've edited all this down, trying to make it fit in a reasonable amount of time. But I did the adjustment on Tom's squares. Had a little bit of time to myself. A little shop time to myself was always nice. And I made the adjustments on Tom's squares, and my measuring equipment is, my measuring station is coming along. I've been collecting a few things, and Tom generously has donated my surface gauge and a little tenths indicator. And then I recently acquired some Joe blocks that I've been playing with, and I was kind of eager to play with those. And but here, let's go to that video and see my my low budget measuring station. And what we're going to start with is 90 degrees. Now, not all of us have super nice comparators like Tom does. I know you saw that on his on checking for square. This is what I'm going to check for square with. It's just a block with a mag base on it, and I've got a very maddening little tenths indicator here, courtesy of Tom Lipton. It is Tom Lipton approved. But what we're going to use a dead end mill, and the only criteria about it is it has to be exact at both ends. So I've mic'd it. You mic it here and you mic it here, and make sure it's equal, and measure 90 degrees apart and make sure it's not oval or anything like that. But this is very round, and it's very straight. So it measures the same all the way across. And then on your block, you only need one surface that is very flat. That's right across here. What we're going to do is we're going to roll this little guy right into the block. Now we're using this basically as a standard, and we're going to bring old Tom's square over here, and all we're going to do is be checking the outer. So we're going to get down flat on the ground here and bring us in and see where we come in with this thing. So I am 1, 2, 3 tenths below. I'm going to go over to my standard and just roll it in gently. And I am 1/10 above. One-tenth above. So we actually need to take this square and tilt the top of it that way. So if we remove material just on this edge, when we're lapping it in, we're just going to give it a little bit of English down on this corner here, while still keeping it flat. We're just going to apply more pressure here than we are back here. We're still going to sand it very gently, because believe me, taking out a couple tenths is very easy to do, and it's real easy to go too far. I've just got some 320 grit paper just so I remove material a little quicker, and just going to kind of do a little English there on that front end. Let's see what kind of gain we get out of that. So we made, that was 2 tenths we took off of that, out of the equation. So we're going to go back to lapping again, and we're still going in the same direction. Actually, I'll bring it out just a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing and see kind of what size paper I'm using. And we're just going to, I'm actually going to give it about 20 little runs back and forth here, and keeping the English up towards the front of the square. And for you anal guys out there that are counting how many times I've done it, I'm going to call that 20. But if I did 22, I don't care. All right, let's see where that puts us. Just going to give one little flatten out thing here. All right. Table a quick wipe. Give the angle a quick wipe. A little blow down. Make sure we got all the grit off of it. Feels good. Back down the plate. Slides nice. Don't feel anything underneath there. You get one speck of fly shit underneath anything you set down on the table. You can feel it right away. So let's see where we're at with this now. Ooh, there's... Did I tilt that thing? Right. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 4/10 right there. And see if that repeats. We'll come back and bump it again. Yep, there it is. Let's come back and check our block. 3/10. I'm within 1/10 of 1,000th of square on those two outer fences. Now you know what? I'm calling that good. And all we're looking for there now is parallelism, because we know our outside surfaces here and here are 90, and we're happy with that. But now we're going to check for parallelism, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. That's going to be a little bit different setup. And actually, I'm going to use a 3-inch block. I got my new Weber gauge blocks here. So yeah, I could use a 3-inch block there. And set that turkey down right here. Let's set that Weber gauge block down there. But then I'm going to set up this little Alina to run across the top there. And to do that, we don't need that pin anymore. And to do that, I think I'm going to just take this gauge. I'm going to put it on the surface gauge here real quick. Let me get that. And I've got a special little thing in there just to hold an indicator. I've got the regular pointer off of it. And now we're reading on the upstroke this time, so I'm going to flip my little switch here. And start bringing this down. Let me change the camera angle. Maybe you can see that a little better if I do that. Okay, we're showing, all we're doing is comparison. We don't, for all intents and purposes, we don't need to be on 0. We just need to know what number it is. But I'm going to run it all the way out here to the tip. Right now I am 2/10 above 1. And I'm just going to run this entire assembly all the way across. And now I'm all the way to the end, and I am 1, 2, 3. I am 4/10 above 1. So we're within 2/10 of 1,000th in parallelism there. Now I'm going to switch it over to this other side, over to this other little section of the block, and I'm just going to rub it back and forth to make sure I don't feel any dirt or grit. I mean, I cleaned it, but I just want to make sure there's nothing in there. So I'm just going to rub that around a little bit and pretty much repeat the same operation here. Down so I can get a little reading there. Okay, I'm starting off over here at 2/10 below 2, and I'm going to start running us across. This surface is a little rougher. It's got a raw surface grind, and we're staying there about 1/10 below 2, 1/10, and I'm coming out here to the end, and I'm 1/10 below 2. Okay, so let's run this back to our original spot. And that's 1/10 below 2. So that tells me that both fences are parallel. My outer surfaces are 90. My lapped surface that I just finished lapping here didn't show any needle bounce at all. But this surface here is just a raw surface grind finish. And it's a little bumpy. It's got about a 1/10 of a thou bump to it. And in an effort to keep Mr. Perfection happy, I think I'm going to take that out of there. I'm just going to lap it flat, hold a very even pressure on it. Let me get this out of here. Put this block over here to the side, and we're just going to take this and I'm just going to lap it flat and see if I can get that 1/10 bump out of there when it's riding across those the scallops from the surface grinding. And you can see there, that's a drastic improvement already. You can still see some of them, but that was a very light lap, and you can see it's still very even. You can see the blackening down in some of the grooves. But I'm going to keep going just till that disappears. And I think I'm pretty happy with that there. Again, clean the tail. And again, clean my part. And again, a quick blowdown. And let's check that for parallel one more time. Everything feels real good. Okay, it's pretty much the same reading. That's 2/10 below 2. Now we're going to start moving it over. And yeah, that took a lot of the jump out of it. Okay, so I'm calling that side within 1/10 of parallel. So now what do we know? We're satisfied that our outer is 90, and we're satisfied that we're within 1/10 of parallel here on this fence. and here on this fence. All that's left now is your hypotenuse angle, and we're going to do that with a sine bar. And before we get started measuring the angle, we're going to check the sine bar, and I've actually loosened these bolts and intentionally thrown it out of whack, so you can see how to bring a sine bar in when it has to be very close. But what you do is you bring it in and get yourself zeroed, which I already have. I've already got it on 0. Now you're just going to slowly sweep it across. And as I'm sweeping this thing across, I'm starting to see an increase. So right about there, I'm seeing an increase of, right, we're going to call this out here 0. And over here we were 0.0004 up, so that's positive. Okay, so let's, what we need to do is we need to lower this back end. So all I'm going to do here is, I already know I've got these bolts just barely snug right now. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to tighten this back one, substantially. You know, I'm going to put a good crunch on that thing. And essentially what you've done is you've tightened this up into this V groove, because your bolt's sitting here at an angle, and you've, believe it or not, you've deflected this metal right here slightly, and you've sent that roller up tight, and you've actually lowered the sine bar slightly. So let's see what kind of result we got out of that. We had a 4/10 variation. We were 0 out here. Slide it in there gentle, maybe we still get 0. I must have bumped it. I gotta do sneeze on these things and it's all over. Okay, we're on 0 there. Pretty happy there. And let's see what kind of variation we get now that we've tightened that down. I'm hoping you can see that dial. She's hovering right on 0. If anything, it's starting to go downhill. Like Stan crunched it too far. Alright, I didn't even see any more than a 1/10 of variation there. So now you know how to squeeze down on a bar, on a sine bar, and basically calibrate them, even though it's just a solid chunk of metal. But you can still deflect the material enough to get the sine bar to do what you want it to do. So let's run it back. I'm still on 0 there, but let's run it back here and make sure our first reading comes back to us. Okay, and I'm still on 0 and not even a needle width. You know, I'm totally happy with that. Okay, and I got my bar all cleaned up now, and we're gonna go ahead and set up a stack block for this. Now, a 5-inch bar at 30 degrees is going to take a 2.5-inch stack. If you're using any other angles, go to trigonomic function chart, check the sine, multiply the sine times the distance between your rollers. All right, pretty simple math as long as you got a trigonomic function chart. And so we're going to grab a 2-inch block. And we're going to grab a 1/2-inch block, 0.5. And we're going to give them a quick cleaning on our surfaces we need to put together. And when your stacking blocks up. Put them 90 degrees from each other, as so. And wiggle them around like you're putting something down on a surface plate and you're feeling for dirt or whatever. And just give them a 90-degree turn. And if you've got good mating surfaces, they should ring to each other like that. So they basically stick to each other. So that's a 2.5 inch gauge stack. And there we go there. And the way I hold my squares in a sine bar, it's actually really easy. Rather than trying to clamp it and stuff, I just use some little button magnets. And I just kind of stick them on the side. Let's see, we're going to be doing this one in this direction. So I stick a little button magnet right on the side of the sine bar there. And there. And that lets it grab a hold of, the magnets grab a hold of it here and here. And just kind of hold it down on the sine bar, just like that. And that's my setup there. I'll move this out of the way and I'll turn this sideways. You can kind of see how I'm holding those on there. That's the best way I've found to hold these guys down, is just to put them on a couple of magnets and let them hold it there on the side. Okay, so let me get this to where you can kind of see it. And let's get this guy up somewhere in the same zip code as this thing. Gee whiz, I need a bigger surface plate if I'm going to keep doing this stuff. So much room needed for video. Okay, lock my upper and manipulate my lower till I start seeing some numbers. There's some numbers. And I mean, Tom's got the tiniest hammer in the world, but a felt pen makes a pretty good tapping device for this little fussy stuff. And I think we got a good, zero there. And let's sweep that little angle there and see where we're at with it. All right, I got a reading of 2/10 from end to end across the hypotenuse, and let's see if that's high or low. I'll pull off. Okay, so we're high on this side by 2/10, and again, just going to lap it. So I need to, as a reminder, I'm going to put a little bit of red felt pen out here, and that's where. This is where I need to remove a small amount of material out here. So, and let's just go back and we'll double check it. Move off gently. Back to 0. So fussy. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're back to 0 there. And now we're just going to sweep down this way. Wow, there's a speed bump there. What was that? And I'm still seeing a couple of tenths there. So let's give that a little lap. Take a lap Let me slide this out of the way. And we've got a reminder here. I got a little red ink out there, and we're going to kind of polish that in. And on the lapping paper, we're just going to give it a little bit of extra English on that front end. Let's see if we can get back here where you can see what I'm doing. My red ink came off immediately, first stroke. And you can you'll probably be able to see the wear pattern. I'm bearing down a little harder on this end than I am on this end. You'll see I haven't really broken through the bluing down here. But let me give that a tad more. I sure don't think I'm there yet. So. Okay. Let's clean them off and try it again. I'm trying to work and get this in frame for you guys. Yeah, it's pretty much in frame. Okay, we're happy there. Happy with our gauge block stack. I think I'm happy there. Oh yeah, it's laying down nice. Okay. Let's get this back in the same vicinity here. Go swing that. There we go. I think I need a little hammer. Okay. Just a shade above 0. Not even a needle width. But here we're going to run the sweep again. Still on 0. Still on 0. Wow, we got it first time. And just a bit below, so if anything, we went too far. So that gives you an idea how fast you can take off a couple of tenths just with a little bit of paper. So yeah, you're not even a tenth of a thou off on that one. So let's run it back to our starting point, make sure we stayed at 0. Which we did. And that brings this square to a close. So we got a lap surface on that one side. We got a lap surface on that side to make an adjustment. We got a lap surface over here just to get some of the bumpies out, even though we left a few of them there. We've checked it for 90. We've checked it for parallel. And we've checked it for 30 degrees. And 30 and 60 is 90 last time I checked, so I don't think there's any need to flip this sucker over the other way and check it the other way. I guess you could, but that's an awful big stack of gauge blocks. I tell you, you'd be way up here like this trying to get that thing in there. But if you get it right on the 30 degree side, it's guaranteed to be right on the 60 degree side. So anyways, I need to do this one more time to the other square and get them in gun blue and get them back to Mr. Wizard Hey, Tom, your squares are coming back, buddy. And here we are back, and yeah, I cut that video an awful lot because I was there for over an hour, and you didn't want to sit there and watch me fuss around with that thing. And the first one I picked up just needed a lap, and it lapped in real nice. The other one was actually out quite a bit, and I think that was on his ticket, the angular error detected. And it had to take a trip to the surface grinder on the 30-degree side because it was off, and one of the two fences inside was off. So it took a trip to the surface grinder with a cup wheel for the fence and with a flat wheel for the 30-degree side. So there's that. Next up, Memorial Day. I attended a car show. I live about 4 or 5 miles from State Historic Route 66, and they had a car show down there, kind of an oldies kind of thing, and I shot a little video, and here's that. It's just kind of fun to see some of this stuff. Wow, look at that. Anyways, are fucking awesome. I know. Straight out of the 70s.
But I got it all ripped out now because I bought it like 10 months ago, and it's been rotting and stuff like that. I'm trying to destroy it, and I put it in the driveway. That one I drive every day.
Well, they're walking around, so we'll see. If you need me, I'll cover that.
This is not what I thought you were talking about.
That's a beauty, isn't it? And yeah, that was a pretty cool little show. A lot of lowriders, but that green van kind of stuck out at me. That was straight out of the '70s surfer van with the Krager wheels and the green metallic paint. And we used to make fun of those, but now they're kind of cool. Anyways, so that's done. Next up, the mics that Adam sent me are all cleaned up and polished, and here's a photograph of them after I got done with them. And we're back. And that was those cleaned up really nice. And I actually used a Scotch-Brite wheel on the back side of the beam. There was someone had inscribed or used an engraver and engraved their name in it very deeply, and I polished that out and on just one of them. And I was wondering, since I was removing material from the beam, if it would affect the arc of it somehow or something like that. But I checked them before and after. I actually used my Weber blocks. I checked them, at minimum scale and maximum scale. So I checked them full scale at both ends before and after. And just for your information, it doesn't affect them. So that's a little tidbit to store away there. All right. So, yeah, those mics cleaned up good, and thanks again, Adam, over at ABomb79. Next thing is my channel. You may notice you saw a commercial on the way in. I monetized. I folded. I'm weak. I can't help it. So, yeah, I monetized my channel just to see what it was about. If it gets too irritating, I think it's pretty much a status quo for everyone on YouTube. Throw some commercials up on your channel. But I picked the option of the least irritating commercials. You can always click out. They're not mandatory view. And in your terms of service and your terms of agreement with Google, we don't talk about monetization. But anyways, my channel is monetized now. First rule of monetization is you don't talk about monetization. But I've got 1,800 subscribers now, which is surprising to me. I've never expected anything like this. I always consider myself a pretty average guy and thought everyone kind of did something along my lines. Anyone in the trades and doing the working class thing, I figured everyone was kind of like me and would want to watch what I do. But it's been pretty surprising in the comments I get and the emails I get and the views I get. There's always the one guy out there that's going to do this to you. I don't know who he is. He's one guy, and he just roams the country, searching YouTube, and he just throws them thumbs down. They do it anonymously, but you know what? We don't care. So thumbs down me. I want everyone that watches this to give a thumbs down. Let's see how many we get. I want to set a new record. All right, but 1,800 subs and 95K views. So to me, I don't know whether it's a milestone or not. But when I hit 2,000 subs, I'm gonna do something. I don't know. That's just a personal milestone of mine. But thanks everyone for watching my channel, and thanks for showing interest in the stuff I do. This is just what I do. I just take a little bit of extra time to film it and throw it on the internet for you. You're seeing my day-to-day life. But I hope you enjoy being the fly on the wall, and I appreciate all your input and all your views. All right, guys. Well, have a good weekend. This will probably air Saturday morning-ish. I'll probably try to get it uploaded Friday night here. And have a good weekend and enjoy your week next week. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.